Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Double trouble trudging Tuesdays. Oh, it's Thursday. Darn it. Don't laugh at me. I'm working on some things. I've been working on some soundtracks and stuff like that for. I kind of want to show off my recovery watchdog one. Not show it off, but I can't show it off because it's not a video. But I can't have you listen to it. So this will be there's a new show that I'm doing called the Recovery Watchdog. Be once a week. It's not going to be like the Daily Trudge. It's going to be a little bit more informative. And of course, you know me, I screw around. So, but check this out. It's not bad. It's not very long, 9 seconds, I think.
You're tuned into the Recovery Watchdog, where we call out the fakes, celebrate the real, and keep recovery honest. Because if we don't bark, who will?
It's not loud enough, though. All right, we'll work on it. Well, I hope everybody's having a good day. Friend of mine and I decided that we were going to start our day over. Fuck it. Actually, not even start the day over, start the week over. Because I don't want to be in this mood going and watching the Bronco game. If they start losing, I'll just get all butthurt. Actually, I don't even think I'm going to bother watching the game until the fourth quarter. When, Bo, Nix, and the rest decide to show up, the rest of the offense decide to play some football. The other people are just playing are just their doppelgangers. That's not really Bo Nix out there. That's his doppelganger. All right. I want to talk about football because not everybody listening to me cares about football. In fact, most people don't give a fuck. So we're not going to worry about it. All right. So expectations and the little things, that's what we're talking about this time around. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I am your host. I hope you're having a good day. I already said that, but I really do. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or rewatch. Be helpful everywhere you can. I'm going to do a little bragging. I usually do it. And then this is just things that I do all the time. I had to go get a medication from Kaiser. Right. And when I was walking out, this older gentleman was trying to get out of his car. And man, he was having a hard time. They were parked in front. And the driver was there. He was just kind of like waiting. I think they were brothers or something. You're funny. Amber says, don't even say their name and the word lose in the same sentence. I used to be like that. Okay, I won't do it again. Yeah, it'll be tough to watch the Broncos win tonight. There you go. Is that better? But he's having a hard time getting out of the car. I'm like, do you need a wheelchair? And the guy's like, yeah, please. Well, I'm like, you need to, because the guy driving, I don't think he could have done much either. So I brought, all I had to do is take 2 minutes out of my freaking time. 2 minutes. Helped him get in the chair. I rolled him inside so he was out of the wind. I'm like, your brother. And he was so thankful. And I shook his hand. I noticed a little American flag. And I said, thank you for serving my country. You deserve respect. That I do that all the time. Yeah. Those are the things that I get to do. Isn't that nice? God put it right in front of me. Put the problem right in front of me. Couldn't have been more clear what I had to do. People walking by. All right. Of course, there were ladies with kids and stuff too. It was for me to do. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, everybody else you walking by enjoy it. No, no, no. They weren't in a situation to be able to help. When you got a kid running out into a street, probably going to be your priority. All right. Yeah. So do those things. Get out of yourself. All right. We're going to start with expectations. All right. We're going to start with expectations. They're not all bad. It's just I'm an alcoholic and I don't utilize things correctly. Seems like I'm always the problem, right? Well, there's some good news, bad news there. Bad news, I'm the problem. Good news, I'm the problem. It's the one thing that I can change. Me being the problem is actually a good thing, right? All right. So expectations. Now we all know that expectations lead to resentments. There's a whole system, all right? I think I got Yoda sitting behind me and Darth Vader. There's the opposites for you right there. All right. See, Anakin Skywalker had a lot of expectations when it came to, all right, what was his other expectation? That he could be powerful enough to make sure that Padme did not die. But because of his obsession, he killed Padme. And it was expectation. See, expectation leads to the dark side. And for us, what does that mean? Anger, which is the main one, depression, all right? Kind of what I've been going through this week. I guess I must have had too high expectations on certain people. And therefore that made me mad when and I don't even know that's actually not a good example, I don't think, right? So we know what those expectations are, right? Here's a good one. When I was about a year sober, I went out to see my grandma because it was her dying wish. I got a letter from her saying that was her dying wish, that I was sober and living a better life, right? Okay. Now, I'm telling you, I'm one of like 50 grandchildren. I'm not exaggerating. She had 9 children. Okay. I have 8 brothers and sisters. You do the math. Okay. But it was her dying wish. Her and I were always very close. I was the second oldest, so we spent a lot of time together. And in fact, my grandma and my auntie, my auntie Amber, not the Amber here. If she was my auntie, then I really would be true Mormon. You figure that one out, but it was fun. That was a good joke. Oh, I didn't play it. I'm gonna have to get better at that. I tried to play a soundtrack with it. It didn't work out. All right. But so my grandma raised me. She was always a part of my life. And I went out there and I was talking to my mom, right? Because when it comes to the kitchen, boy, am I particular, especially if it's my kitchen. It needs to be clean. The rest of the house can be spotless. If the kitchen is dirty, the house is dirty to me, right? Well, people don't clean like I do. I mean, I move the microwave and clean underneath and the sink and around the edges, and then I dry it all off with a towel. It is picture perfect. I'd sweep the floor, mop it if it needs to be done. After you're done doing the dishes, dry them and put them away. I'm very particular about this, right? Well, my kids they were not following through. Okay. That was probably the biggest argument we had. It still is. Although I don't give them crap about it now, but now I just stay out of the kitchen because it's not even close. But my mom said, she said, Dion, you're going to have to be okay with 80%. And that made sense to me. I'm like, oh, so if they do 80%, I can cover the other 20. And then everybody's kind of, because she's like, Dion, they're not going to clean it like you. Remember growing up, you always had to do the dish. I'm like, yeah, Mom, you always made me. She's like, because I love the way that you clean the kitchen. And I said, Mom, that still wasn't very fair. Maybe my brothers needed some practice then. Right? It's because I'm particular. That's an expectation. Well, I was alleviated of it because I was able to what? Lower that expectation to 80%. When we say lower your expectations, take it as a percentage. And why would we do that? Because 80% is a reasonable expectation. There are reasonable expectations in this world. There is. Right? Are you the one in the house that takes out the trash? Everybody else just piles everything on there. In fact, it's like a competition. How high can we get the trash before someone can take it out, right? When really, when the trash is full, the reasonable expectation is that you take out the trash. But there's more than that, isn't there? Yeah, you got to go get another bag and put another bag in there for the next. That is, what do we call it? See, reasonable expectations equal respect. Do you respect your home? Do you respect like the things that I have? I take care of the things that I do have because I appreciate them. I clean my PlayStation 5 all the time. My electronics run forever because I take care of them. I sweep and mop my floor. I make sure that, because to me, this is God's house, man. And I have got to treat it correctly. And I've got to paint the rest of my room, right? It's just, at this point, it's just it's a running joke. Oh, did you know that Adventure Dyes is having a sale coming soon? Yeah, you should go check that out. Give me a second here. You should go check it out. You should go check out Adventure Dyes. All right. I'm plugging Amber's thing here. She has a cool stuff. Look, check this out. She made this for me for my 9th birthday. She specializes in making chips for people and what they like and stuff like, right? I'm a huge Batman fan. So she gave me and it's even yellow and the black because she knows that I like the old Batman stuff. So yeah, see, got some really cool stuff. All right. I have other stuff from her, but I don't have it around me to show off. You ever see me wear that tie-dye shirt? Yeah, Amber gave that to me. It's actually a Spider-Man shirt. There's a spider in it. Yeah. So go check it out. Adventure Dyes. Okay. There's your plug, Amber. So we have reasonable expectations, do we not? We already know about the other expectations, how they lead to resentment and things like that. So, but let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk about that just a little bit more. All right. So you ever notice how expectations have a way of turning blessings into disappointments? Oh, yeah. Let's say that again. You ever notice how expectations have a way of turning blessings into disappointments? Yeah. Amber says, and tie-dye and charm bracelets. And I'm sure there'll be another and. Yeah, sometimes God will give me a gift, but because it was not done in the order that I wanted it, or it was not presented how I wanted it, I blow it off. Now I have nothing. I'm not going to have anything, right? I used to think peace came when people acted right. It turns out it comes when I stop expecting them to act the way that I want them to act. That's when the peace comes. Not when other people start doing things the way that I want them to. Because the moment that they do that, I'm going to find something else. Okay, see, expectations can lead to things like this. Maybe there's somebody in your life that you don't like. So what you do is every time you see, think, hear, think anything about them, you look for the bad things in them. It's kind of a natural thing for us human beings to do. It's a justifiable anger type of thing. And it's hard to get over because in your brain you think you're right. You think you're right. But you know, we still have to look at some things here because that expectation can ruin your whole fucking month. And again, not having high expectations of other people, okay, and for alcoholics this is very true because we have high expectations of ourselves and we expect other people to do that also. We also need to remember not everybody knows what you know. There may be some people out there, you know, like when I hear the word recovery, I think of alcohol. Well, there are some people out there when they hear recovery, they're thinking about a broken leg and work, you know, going to the physical therapist. Some people might think drugs. And so see how even that perception can lead to something else. All right. And what we're doing is when I do expectations, what I'm doing is I'm determining other people's worth. And what does that mean? It means I'm arguing with God. It's a hard one to accept. I'm in the middle of accepting it right now myself. Right? So every time I say they should, I'm setting myself up for frustration. Yeah, they should be doing this and they should be doing that. Yeah, and it is something I go through a lot because I'm working in a field where there's a lot of change that needs to be made. Right? So, but when I'm like these people, you know, so we're not going to really be asking for people to change as much as the process. And it needs to be presented correctly. If we present it as, hey, you guys are doing it wrong, they're not going to listen. They're not going to want to listen. It needs to be approached, hey, I know how hard your job is. I've been watching it from over here. I wouldn't want your job. So thank you first for doing it. Thank you. Because it's true. Trust me, you don't want their job. Okay. I see this going on. I see that you're frustrated and I see some solutions here. Do you mind if I present them to you? If they say no, then it's no. But a lot of times you'll find people are pretty open. You can't change. You can't force people to change. So it's well, I mean you can. You might not get the desired result, but I guess you can, right? So the opposite of expectation is what? What would be the opposite of expectation? Appreciation. I was just talking to a friend about this, and they were talking about work, and what they were saying was, okay, we've been trying to get the bus boys to or the bus people to pre-bus, right? And it keeps coming up in the meeting, coming up at the meeting, but all they're doing is he's like, but they never encourage them when they do it right, and that's the part that he sees missing, right? Makes sense to me. Does that make sense where you're going to reinforce instead of, right? And this is why I was upset earlier this week because there were expectations put on me that I'm not willing to accept from other people. I'm not going to do that. Right? And I got upset because, well, I was being attacked and there were parts on my side. I'm not going to say that there isn't. That's why I called my sponsor and my therapist to make sure I didn't go out of my lane and end up having to, you know, start making amends and things like that. And even now, you know, my brain wants to do it, but I'm telling it to piss off. Right? So, but when I'm saying they should, then I'm giving a demand. Okay. And if I can change that to an appreciation, what I appreciate about them, then I might have a little bit different view of what's going on. All right. Now, again, why are we doing this? For our own serenity. We're not doing this to hope that they change or things. It's so that I can live in peace. That's what we're going for, right? All right. So this gets tied to emotional sobriety. These demands that I used to put on people for attention, for likes and loves, and well, attention, because attention covers everything, right? And they were always demands too. They were not requests. I even did it of God. Hey God, would get me out of jail, please, like now, and I promise I won't do this again. Yeah, that was a lie. He knew that. And he didn't answer me because it wasn't a prayer. It was a demand. So no, he did. Actually did answer me about 8 months later when I got out. He's like, yeah, your answer's 8 months, Dion. I can't give you a different one. Right? So this ties into emotional sobriety. Okay. If you want to know what I'm talking about, what you can do is go to Google, put in I almost said put in The Final Frontier, but that's a Star Trek movie. The Last Frontier Emotional Sobriety. There's a PDF and you can go read it and they'll kind of describe it. Okay. So it's about cutting off these faulty dependencies upon everybody else. It is about self-worth. It's about self-worth. Creating my own worth instead of demanding that other people give it to me. You ever done something and feel unappreciated? That's part of what that is. Right? And I go through that. There are times when at the beginning of this week I felt unappreciated. Yeah, I did. Because of other people, because of some of other people's actions. Now that isn't self-worth, is it? All right. Excuse me. And we talked about that earlier in the week. So if you want to hear that, go to YouTube, go to my page, put in self-worth, and the video will come up. It'll be right there. All right. So expectations keep us in ego, not acceptance. My expectations keep me down here. If I remove them, look how this room I have to go up, right? So I'm going to have to accept it for my own, there again, for my own peace of mind. So that way I can be useful to other people, right? Friend of mine, we're kind of going through the same stuff. We had a great talk. It was hard. It was a hard talk. And I don't know why I hardly ever do this, but I said, do you mind if I pray for us? And I did. And it changed everything. It changed everything. Our attitudes went from this is hard to I love everybody. We were able to bring love back in. See, when I have an expectation, what's gone? Unconditional love. It's gone. And I kind of have to live my life on unconditional love. The only requirement I have for unconditional love is that you are a child of God. It's my only requirement. I had to make a rule. I'm a Virgo. I need a rule. Okay. Rules create the challenges, and I can appreciate the challenge. So I do. Even the same people that pissed me off, that I'd be much harder to do it right now, but if they knocked at my door, said, Dion, I need $5 for gas. Let's go fill up your gas tank. I'm going to do it. Right. So what happened? We prayed, and then I guarantee something happened to him too. Because I said, okay, we're going to make a commitment that we're going to go ahead and make the day of this day better, and we're going to do it together. And then we need you're a dork. Amber sends me a message because she knows my phone dings. And it goes, ding, fries are done. Would you like fries with that, Mrs. Simpson? But what happened? Well, I went and picked up my prescription, and God put somebody right there for me to help. And I felt much better about my self-worth after that. I had a smile on my face. Driving there, I'm like, okay, people need to get out of my fucking way. You're going 38 and a 40. Blah, 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 blah. On the way home, I'm like, yeah, you come in. You come in. See? It switched. Did it take long? No, it was automatic. Bam. Now I can't ask God, hey, help me give me some service work and sit in the house. It was the perfect time to go do that. It was a perfect time. All right, we're 25 minutes in. Maybe we should probably talk about the little things. Okay? Small little things. Now what's the saying? The little things kill. That's the saying. I'm gonna add on to that. They also build. Steps 1, 2, and 3 are building steps. And they're just little teeny tiny little things to get us started, right? Let's say you decide to build a rock pile. And every day you put one new rock on that pile. In a month, you're gonna have a pile of 30, right? And it starts to build. You do that for the rest of your life, man, you're gonna have a pretty big pile of rocks, aren't you? So when we have the little things in our lives, don't ignore them. Don't ignore them. In fact, make sure you give priority, because I see a lot of people priorities are out of whack. Do what's available now, big or small. Or what we can do is stop determining the size of your problems. Don't do that. Don't determine the size. Use your intuition to know which is a priority. Okay? Do that to know which one is a priority. But do not let the little things just slide by. Oh, it wasn't that big of a thing. Because these start to build up, and then what does it turn into? Then it turns into a resentment, because there's going to be expectations tied into that. Okay? So don't let the little things just pass on by. Okay? So gratitude doesn't lower your standards, it raises your peace. So simple practices: pause, breathe, thank, and repeat. Right? And your recovery is going to be made up of these little things that you have to do consistently, not big moments once in a while. We alcoholics need these little wins every day. You're going to have some wins that are big, but most of the wins that I have are just like the win that I had. I left the house, I went, I helped somebody, I came back. It was a little win. It didn't need much. But now those two guys are going to have a much better day. They're going to think of people better. And I made the lady that got me my script laugh. Of course I did. I gotta do that. It's a requirement. I'll kind of end with this: is when I was younger, it was about 7, 18, somewhere in there. I might even have been younger. I don't know, or older, but I do know it was around that age. I said what I was going to do is I was going to make one person a day laugh. Okay, easy to do, right? You got friends, you got family. So I made a rule, because I'm a Virgo and I like rules and the challenges in them. It can never be the same person twice. Well, you go through your friends and family pretty quick. And I was doing this because I didn't want to be so introverted anymore. I wanted to become more of an extrovert. So now I have to be silly and do things out in public where people can judge me, where they can point at me. And now here I am online, and people tell me all the time, hey, Dion, you really shouldn't put yourself out there like that. I'm like, yeah. And you really should not talk about something that you've never done. So there's that too. You don't know me. I enjoy doing this. I'll give it. If I do this and 10 people are like, well, he's stupid, right? Or whatever. And then I have one person who's like, that really helped me. It was still worth it. It's still very much worth it to me. Right? So let's watch our expectations. Let's remember there are such things as reasonable expectations, and don't let the little things build. Unless they're good, then you hold on to those. and yeah, I thought I had one more, but I do not. All right. Thank you all for being here. Ding. Your fries are ready. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.